There's a Newcastle United fans group behind me, are part of a silent protest who are against the Newcastle United ownership, the Saudi ownership, because of allegations of sports washing, human rights abuses, the persecution of the LGBTQ plus community, beheadings, the persecution and subjugation of women in all sorts. It's causing quite some controversy, a lot of angry people around here, but I'm going to go across, I'm going to give them a bit of a grilling, ask some tough questions and find out what's going on. It's coming up. Obviously a lot of controversy with the protest. Yep. So what are you hoping to achieve by it all?
Well, I'm not the group organiser, but from my point of view I think it's really raising awareness as a Newcastle supporter about where the investment has come from into the club, the human rights abuses which are taking place, and I think it's a wonderful thing what's happening on the pitch. It's exciting. Everything you feel, hear and see is absolutely amazing. Everything Eddie Howe's doing, and I'm a big supporter of the club. But I can't really sit now really thinking about where the money has come from and what the club stands for. And I think that if people have a conscience, really, if Newcastle fans have a conscience, you can't really park that aside. I think you've got to say something about it. If people don't, fair enough, enjoy the football, but if anyone has any disquiet about it, I think better to speak out and say something than not. So that's.
Well, I mean, how do you know that Newcastle fans aren't speaking out? I think
they are generally, and this is why we're here. I think to be honest, there are a lot of people like me who are in a very difficult position where they go to the match, they love a club, they want to support the club. I want to be in there. I've got a season ticket. I've given it up from this season. I would love to be in there with them, and I don't blame anyone who is. And I think a lot of people are in two minds about this. A lot of people are probably uncomfortable with the way what the club means and how this is portraying the club further. And I think it's a big issue. I would love to see some statement from the club, from Gudusi, from Stavely about what it means. And that's
I mean, I don't think anybody agrees with. I don't agree with the subjugation of women.
Yeah.
I don't agree with the persecution of the LGBTQ plus community. I don't agree with beheadings. I don't agree with the treatment of some of their citizens, and I'm sure 90% of the people walking past feel exactly the same.
Absolutely.
But you know, people are aware, and the owners who have taken over Newcastle aren't trying to impose their religious ideologies on the club.
No.
In fact, the opposite. They're helping to promote women's football, for example. There's a kind of a contradiction.
I'm not. It wouldn't be. It's not fair from any fan, from Biker, Elzik, Benwell, to shoulder. The whole moral responsibility of what's happening in another country, and that's not what we're asking. What Stavely and Gudusi are doing here in Newcastle, absolutely fantastic, and it's raising awareness about where the money comes from.
But it's on behalf of the Saudi ownership that they're doing that, not just Amanda and Mehrdad.
The Saudi ownership, I mean, it's their investment, and they're doing it. It's purely an investment from them. It's purely investment. I don't know how much they care about that. I think it's what happens abroad that counts. If the club could make any statement about that, about where the investment's coming from, what's happening in Saudi Arabia, I think fine, okay. Be aware also that a lot of fans have a conscience and have some anxiety about what's happening.
Now the term human rights can be a bit of a soundbite, because of course Saudi Arabia haven't subscribed or signed up to the Human Rights Act.
No, they haven't, and you can't change someone else's culture, and that's not what it's about. And I don't think they would want to change ours, but they're buying into it. They're buying into it in a massive way. And when you look at things like the kafala, you look at the substantial human rights abuses that are taking place.
Well, they're not human rights abuses. They're not in the part of the Human Rights Convention. They have a religious ideology based on Sharia law. I don't agree with it.
I don't know.
But it's their deeply entrenched religious philosophy to do what they think is the word of God. Yep. God's instructing them to do that. So who are we in the West to interfere with how they?
Absolutely, who are we? But if they're buying into your club and you're identifying with them as a Newcastle fan, you're wearing a shirt, are you identifying with that? That's where the money's coming from, and it's their culture, and we're benefiting from it now. We're the beneficiaries of this. So I agree. We're not. We cannot change their culture, but it's to raise awareness, to raise questions about it, and I appreciate everything you've said.
No, I agree with that, but also as well, I mean, it's hard to do things like this by sometimes some people. I'm not suggesting you can be a bit hypocritical. I mean, if you're on Facebook drive, go in an Uber taxi, drink Starbucks coffee, watch Disney movies and go to concerts.
Totally disagree. I don't think people who take part to live in modern life and to drive a car just because you need to put petrol in your car doesn't mean that you're supporting a regime.
However, that's the point I'm making.
But that's a fair point. Yeah. But this is specific. This is about someone buying into our club. If you're wearing the badge, if you're now wearing a white shirt and a green badge, I think that means something, and I think that's slightly different to...
Craig, how do you feel about that group behind us?
I'm totally against it, mate. At the end of the day, just because we're from the West and we're supposed to be a civilised country, who are we to tell them which laws and rules they should have? It's their country at the end of the day. It's got nothing to do with us. It's a football club. They shouldn't be here in my eyes, mate. 100%. They shouldn't be here.
Putting petrol in the car, going to Disneyland, doing all these things. I think it's a bit of a washout to say if you want to take part in modern life, you're buying into capitalism and everything like that. I mean, everyone does. I've not got a problem with that.
I'm just highlighting a hypocritical side of it.
No problem. I'm just saying. I appreciate there's questions about hypocrisy. There's questions about double standards in life, and you know, and I don't blame any single fan walking past for wanting to go into the game, support the club, taking part in a terrific atmospheres in there. I would be there myself. Absolutely love it. But I think if you've got a conscience, you've got to raise questions and do that.
But you're suggesting that people haven't got a conscience. They have. I've got a conscience.
No, they have.
And I'm not saying I'm completely happy. I mean, there is an element of discomfort.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
But they keep their business in Saudi Arabia. They're not interfering with us.
They don't, because the money's here. The investment that you see in the club is from that, and they don't keep their business there. They're buying into the club. They're now part of the Newcastle United brand, and that's a difference, I think. Yeah.
And do you not think as well, if working in collaboration with a country like Saudi Arabia, will a rising tide raises all ships? I'm sure there's things
I would hope so.
we can learn from their society
Massively.
as well.
Do you know what? And from a personal point of view, and I'm not the organiser of the group. I'm not saying try and kick them out. And what I'm saying is raise awareness and ask the questions. Make sure they know it's an issue that a lot of Newcastle fans have. As you say, a lot of fans have a conscience, and it's not fair for them to carry the moral responsibility for this. But yeah, it's just about raising awareness, and I think that's the most important thing. Yeah.
So what is your ultimate aim today? What are you trying to change on?
Well, you'd have to ask the organiser there, John, about what his overall want is. For me, I would just like Staveley and Gadusi to know that there are a lot of fans who do have a substantial amount of disquiet. There's been a lot of portrayal in the national media that Newcastle fans simply don't care. They've embraced it. The thing is, we've been starved for investment and money and excitement and ambition by Ashley for years. This was ripe to happen, and I don't blame anyone for it. I want to support my club. I think it's really just making sure that Gadusi and Staveley are aware in terms of the conscience that supporters having the questions that they want to raise, and I think that's it from my point of view. Yeah.